The label here, it says Flesh and Blood TCG Arcane Rising Booster. So, looks like I have been sent some cards to go over. So, let's take a look at what we got inside. Alright, now give me a hand here. Let's, Here we go. Oh. 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 Kohdok, here are some fab TCG goodies for you to enjoy. Oh, that's Flesh and Blood. The fact that it spells fab, I guess, is a coincidence. From the LSS team, Legend Story Studios. Alright, so it looks like we have a playmat. Ooh, that's a big sucker. And a ton of decks. Looks like we got some demo decks. The Ira Crimson Haze demo decks, 4 of these. I guess those are to share. We got 4 packs of Welcome to Wrath. We got, I guess these are starter decks. Flesh and Blood. Rinhar Reckless Rampage Hero deck. Dorinthia Iron Song. Oh. Katsu the Wanderer, and Bravo Showstopper. So we got some starter decks in the little old-fashioned, smaller-sized boxes. We got a booster box as well of Flesh and Blood, which I believe is Arcane. The Flesh and Blood is the game. Arcane Rising is the set. This is 24 booster packs. Support 1 8-man draft. Okay, so they support an 8-man, so it's a draft set. Maybe I'll have to save this one for a drafting experience. Alright, let's get started. So, yes, this is the game Flesh and Blood. It is by Legend Story Studios. It is a studio out of New Zealand, actually, and it is a bit of a different game, although at first blush it sounds a bit familiar. It is a sword and sorcery game with orcs and stuff where you build a deck that is partially universal cards and partly cards dedicated to a class. I know that sounds familiar, but believe me, basically everything else about this game is completely different. It's not really, it's actually not like Hearthstone at all, aside from that odd little coincidence. So, first of all, there are no minions in this game. It's also not a game where you slowly ramp up in power, where you start with just a little bit and then you slowly get stronger and stronger. This game is a slobber-knocker simulator. That's the term I'm going to be using, and I'm going to be sticking to it. It's a game where you actually, you know, start off at full power, but you wear down, your equipment breaks, your attacks get weaker. It's a very mano-a-mano style of game. It's a duel. The characters who fight are having a duel. Like, let's take a look at Ira Crimson Haze here. This is the demo deck character. She comes with a half deck, although I guess more accurately this would be a draft size deck. So yeah, you can see how there's like generic cards. They have like some little gold on the border here, and then they have the ninja cards, which have like the weave that you would normally see on the sword, and then we have Ira's signature attack, Whirling Mist Blossom, which matches her card border. So they make that pretty distinct on what it is, but what happens is you actually start the game with like various pieces of equipment. Like you might start off with some armor, or do I have a weapon here? Yeah, I have the weapon here. You start the game with these items, and things like the weapons and the armor, they actually go in a special section kind of over here, although I imagine there would be no harm in like just kind of loading them up in a row like that. And these cards can give you some special abilities, although most of the time you have to, except for the weapons are like an attack that you can perform every turn no matter what's in your hand. The equipment you tend to have to sacrifice for a beneficial ability, so you have to determine the proper time to activate these. And these are cards that start the game in play. You always have them. They are not like the attack cards. I was showing off some of them before, but here's another example: Breakneck Battery and Awakening Bellow. Those are some of the cards for the Brute class, who is the Orc guy. He so far is the one that I think I would find the most fun. All of them have a different style to them. Ira is a ninja. We also have a ninja deck back here for Katsu. We have Reinar, who's the Brute. We have Bravo, who is the Guardian class. And we have Dorinthia Ironsong, who runs the Hero deck. And each of these characters actually has a different strategy. The ninja, as you might have guessed, is about stringing attacks together. The Brute is about having heavy blows, and the Warrior and the Guardian are a bit surprising. The Guardian is actually about having these massive one-shot techniques. They're big and expensive, and they have like a lot of built-in kit and stuff. And the Warrior is kind of more of a mid-range ninja, which has some riposte abilities, although they call it reprise in, or reprise, I guess would be the more appropriate, since it's a reprisal that, that has effects that involve breaking through guards and stuff like that. So, like I was saying before, this game uses attack cards. These are the cards that go into your deck. All of the cards are like this, and they are in one of three colors: red, yellow, or blue, and there actually is some significance to that. So, in most games, you know, you get a little energy each turn, your capacity grows a bit more as you go on, but in this game what you do is you actually pitch cards from your hand to pay the costs in order to play these cards. And depending on whether the card you have is red, yellow, or blue, it's worth a different number of points. For example, a blue card, you can see it's got 3 little dots there. That means it can pay for 3. So example, Surging Strike over here costs 2 to play, so a blue would pay for it or a yellow would pay for it. But you can actually overpay for an attack, in which case those remaining points, can linger on for the rest of the turn. At the end of the turn they go away, but you could use them to pay for other attacks, which of course means that, like in the ninja deck, you could like pay for 3 cost 1 attacks with just 1 blue card. Although they are balanced in a different way. There is a thing about the game where you can only have 3 copies of each card in your deck, 3 cards of the same name. But here's the thing, is the color of the card, the top bar, is considered to be part of its name. So, for example, we would have Sharpened Steel Red, Sharpened Steel Yellow, and Sharpened Steel Blue. Those are all considered different cards. You can run all of them in the game, but this gives us a good example of the difference between these cards, because while blue cards are better at paying costs, red cards are more powerful. So Sharpened Steel Red has the benefit your next weapon attack this turn gains +3, versus blue, which says your next weapon attack this turn gains +1. So that's what I mean by your attacks getting weaker over the time. At the start of your game, you're going to want to use your big and powerful red attacks that deal more damage, and you're going to want to use your weaker blue attacks to pay for that. But here's the thing. Cards that are used to pay for other cards don't go to the discard pile. They actually get underdecked. They get returned to the deck to possibly be played later, especially if there are any effects that allow you to shuffle the deck. But that means that if it really becomes a battle of attrition, if you go through your deck and you start getting your weaker cards, and you can draw a lot of cards on your turn. Your characters have a hand size. On all of the characters I've gotten so far, their hand size is 4. But what happens is you don't draw a card at the start of your turn. Instead, at the end of your turn, you refill back to your maximum hand size. So you can spend 4 cards and then draw another 4 cards on your turn, which means that eventually you'll lead off with the powerful reds, then you'll switch to the yellows, then you'll switch to the blues as your deck runs out. Although, again, with decks like Ninja and stuff like that, it's possible to have less expensive attacks that can be used for other things. But I think that's interesting. Like I said, it's one that starts out with everything, but you slowly but surely wear down. So let's see. They also have they sent me some packs as well. They actually sent me some draft rules, and there actually are special draft rules for each character. What happens is normally cards have so far all of the heroes I found. I don't know if there would be more in the boosters, but all of the heroes at full power, which the 60 card deck, have a hand size of 4 and a health of 40. Of course, obviously, first hero to get reduced to 0 health is the loser. But there's also a draft version of each character. A lot of them come on these like neat little double-sided tokens that can also be used. Renar is actually a double-sided token with Bravo here. All the boosters come with these sorts of token cards. They also come with like some basic weapons and stuff that are designed to, you know, act as things you can use for draft. And they have 4-hand card size and 20 health. And this is because the draft size decks are half size 30 card decks, just like Era Crimson Haze. Although I can't, you know, slam 2 Era Crimson Haze demo decks together to get a full deck. You can't cheat it that way. All the cards in the Era deck are in full play set, so this is kind of a deck that is independent. Not to mention, I don't have the 40-point Era Crimson Haze card. I don't know if there is a 40-point Era card. At least I haven't found one yet. I was sent 4 packs. I've messed with a few of them, but I've saved one for later. There are a couple of other additional twists, though. Let's see if I can find a good example of one in here. So, you can also defend with the cards, and defending with cards is the same as defending with Vanguard. You can just pitch a card from your hand in order to reduce damage, and if you reduce damage all the way to 0, then that attack is declared a miss. And there are a bunch of attacks that, like you can see here, this one, it has a little shield over here that is defense +3. Most cards offer this. They block 3 points of damage. You have to discard the card to do that. And since you draw the cards at the end of your turn, that's fewer options you're going to have on your turn. So you have to balance that out. But you can drop any card for free. But there are also some cards that can actually be played as reactions that can offer more defense. Like this is a card that exists only to be played as a defense. It doesn't even have an attack stat at all. That is played, that can either be played as a defense card or as a defense reaction. What happens is you can actually have several attacks together. What happens is you have an attack, you play the attack, you modify the attack however you want. Your opponent gets the chance to dump a couple of cards into defense if they want to, and then that goes off, and then they have a chance to modify their defense. It's actually possible to play 0 defense cards and instead just do it all with defense reactions, because a defense reaction, when played for its cost, adds its defense buff to the pool, adds its defense buff to whatever it is you are blocking. So it's possible to get your defense up really high. I mean, it's kind of difficult for me to imagine a game like actually getting through 15 turns to the point where you actually start recursing on your deck again, but I suppose it's possible. Another thing is the arsenal. You've been staring at this word the whole time and wondered what it meant. What it means is you can actually take a card from your hand and place it face down at the end of your turn, if you still have a card in your hand, and you can then essentially play that card from the arsenal on a future turn. You cannot, you know, chuck it in for defense or use it to pay for costs. You have to play it. So, for example, I would have to play Smash Instinct from here, but it reduces the cards in your hand, so you can draw more cards to replace it, and it essentially gives your hand +1, although you are limited with what you can do with this card. But it's a good idea to have these to maybe plan for something in advance or something like that. I think that's I think it's a neat concept. Like I said, this game is more of a slobber knocker simulator. It is a game designed to be about wearing down and possibly attrition. I'm not entirely sure about the attrition element of it. If a game really drags, it sounds like it can really, really drag. Maybe some sort of reversal mechanic or some sort of finisher mechanic might be something to be introduced. But I haven't really gotten the chance to play it yet. They actually sent me 4 of these Ira Crimson Haze decks, and since I cannot use them myself, busting them open would be pointless, since
the demo decks are all full play sets, I could... it's intended for me to, I guess, pass it off to friends so that we can have a try. That's also why they sent me the Ira Crimson Haze. It says the Learn to Play playmat, not for resale. Wow, they they sent me something kind of special here. But yeah, I assume this is maybe once the situation resolves itself, or if we can find a spot that's clear and we wear masks, maybe I could grab somebody to try out the game with this fun little playmat here. But yeah, it's interesting. There's also the booster packs here. They also sent me a booster box, although I think I'm going to save opening this for a rainy day. You can see I still have all the shrink wrap on it. I'm going to save this for a rainy day. Maybe I'll record it or stream it or actually draft out of it. It's supposed to be for drafting opportunities. It can draft 8 people, which means each player gets 3 packs, which totals up to 45 cards, since each pack is a 15-card booster. It's a magic size booster. I like these booster rates. Let's see, what does it say? It says 5 cards plus a token card. So you're actually getting 16 cards in here, because you're also getting the token cards, which are, again, made for draft. They give you the characters that you can play as. They give you some basic items. There's also, I think I have a Quicken token in here. A lot of the decks have come with Quicken tokens, which are an effect granted by another card. Yeah, so here's a Quicken token that's also double-sided as a sword. I assume you save the token you get out of your pack before you draft, the way you do with Magic the Gathering. But yeah, it's a token card, and it contains 11 commons. It doesn't have an uncommon rarity. Although I guess having the equipment card, you get 1 equipment card. You also get a rare card and 1 rare or higher card and 1 parallel foil card. So it's possible to actually get 3 cards in a pack if one of your rares is a parallel foil. I've actually already had that happen to me. So you can get between 2 to 3 rares in a pack. I have yet to get anything above rare, but then again, I've only been given 4 packs. I haven't really had the chance to mess with it. But so heroes and classes to discover in Welcome to Wrath: Renar, Brute, Bravo the Guardian, Katsu the Ninja, and Dorinthia Ironsong the Warrior. Oh yeah, speaking of, they've clearly put some work into these characters, because something I noticed in the Ira deck is, you know, here's the character, here's something cool that they can do. That was something I was talking about in my discussion about, you know, like the Magic the Gathering and the WeCross cards, as they have, it's all about showing off these characters, all the cool stuff that they can do. I'm not recognizing a lot of artists here, but they've worked on other stuff. A lot of them are clearly from the area, like Liv Wong and Yulia Litanova. These are folks from around that neck of the woods. A lot of them are folks from around you know, Australia, Asia, all of that area. And then we just have this card out of the blue that's just, you know, a freaking cartoon. I think, yeah, there's an updated artwork that's a bit more fitting to the style in the boosters. It's the same card, but I guess the idea was to try to focus more on showing off era. Like Scar for Scar, this is actually a generic card, and yet they have era in it, so they included it in the deck. Brutal Assault is a Renar card, though. But yeah, it's neat to see how they're trying to have plenty of cards that connect to the heroes they have. And of course, I guess the appropriate ending for this would be to bust open this booster and see what we get. So this is Welcome to Wrath 15-card booster pack. This is the final pack I have for the base set. Let's see if we get anything interesting. I don't know if I could get like a full Ira or something, or like a... Man, parallel foil versions of the hero cards, I imagine, would be quite the premium. So we have Unmovable. If Unmovable is played from Arsenal, it gets +1 defense. It's a generic defense reaction. It costs 3 for a +1. Scour the Battlescape. You may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck if you do draw a card, and this is as an attack action. So if Scour the Battlescape is played from Arsenal, it gains Go Again. It allows you to cycle a card for something else. So you underdeck a card to draw a card, basic cycle to maybe try to get something a bit better or that can pay the cost better. Scour the Battlescape is cost 0. Razor Reflex. Choose 1. Target sword or dagger weapon gains +3 attack. Target attack gains card with this cost, with cost 1 or less, gains +3, and if this hits, this attack gains Go Again. Go Again! Yeah, that's a concept I forgot to mention. So an attack forms a chain, and what happens is you get 1 action point per turn, and you can use that action point to play an action card or an attack card, and certain cards have the effect Go Again, which means that your chain doesn't end and you basically get an action back to try again. There are some that automatically have Go Again, which means you can take another action immediately after everything resolves, and there are others that say if this hits this attack gains Go Again, so you have to deal damage in order to get the Go Again effect. Oh, 2 copies of Unmovable, so we have Unmovable Blue and Unmovable Yellow. Barkbone Strapping. That's some strapping Barkbone you're wearing there, buddy. Strapping. Destroy Barkbone Strapping, roll a 6-sided die, gain star equal to half the number rounded down. And I think this actually came in the Renard deck. Savage Feast. Oh, this is a new one. Getting attacked by plants and he's eating all of them. As an additional cost to play Savage Feast, discard a random card, which is why it's cost 1 despite being a blue. If the discarded card has 6 or more damage, draw a card. Not sure about that one. Last Ditch Effort. When you play Last Ditch Effort, if you have no cards in your deck, it gains +4 and Go Again. Well, it is a generic card. I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised. Oh, that's an S. Is that a super rare card? Did I just get a super rare card? I guess this might be something you save for later. It does become an 8 damage card that allows you to go again, and it is blue. So as a blue, it does make sense for it to get cycled back into your deck to pay for other attacks. So maybe this card has some potential to it. Then we have Driving Blade, Holographic Foil. Your next weapon attack this turn gets +3 damage and Go Again, and then you go again. Because this is an action, you go again afterwards. Crush Confidence. Crush. If Crush Confidence deals 4 more damage to a hero, they lose all hero card effects and activated abilities until the end of their next turn. So yeah, this is what a Guardian attack looks like. They're big and expensive, but they have a powerful attack. Primeval Bellow. As an additional cost to play Primeval Bellow, that's a common, yeah. Primeval Bellow, discard a card. Your next attack this turn gets +4. Go again, and it costs 0. Debilitate. Nature's Path Pilgrimage. Leg Tap. Go again. Nature's Path Pilgrimage again. Is that the same one? Nope, it's blue and yellow. So it looks like you can get cards with the same name, just not the same color. Open the center, and Katsu. Oh, I got Young Katsu. So this is the ninja card. Once per turn, when an attack action you control hits, you may discard a card with cost 0. If you do, search your deck for a card with combo, banish it face up, then shuffle your deck. You may play it this turn. Hey, that's cool. And Bravo. I've gotten a lot of Bravos. But yeah, I got a super. Last Ditch Effort seems like a pretty decent shoe-in for a one-of, actually. Because you keep shuffling it back into your deck. Although the situation where it's actually useful sounds like it comes up so rarely, and it still has that cost of 3 that makes me kind of leery at it. So, for a super, I'm not sure if this is really the best card. But, yeah, that's a look at Flesh and Blood. Hopefully once this situation resolves itself a little better, I'll actually be able to get some gameplay for you. But yeah, I think it's interesting. If you're looking for a card game that has more of an intimate field rather than commanding armies, you're instead having a slugfest against another player, but one that just gets into the action right away rather than needing to ramp up like with UFS or something, then this might be something interesting to try. It's had a very limited release in the United States. It's clearly gotten a better release over there in New Zealand and Australia, probably. It must be lovely there this time of year. I mean, winter's starting to end and it's getting ready to shift into spring. Must be lovely this time of year. But yeah, that's Flesh and Blood by Legend Story Studios, and until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.